In the morning breeze, Lin Xun's figure was as strong as a flight, and quickly swept away. In just 1 month, Lin Xun's thin body has become much taller, thin and proud, and his physical strength is long and full of strength. His slightly innocent face was no longer pale, and there was a clear and free taste. All of this is inseparable from his diligent cultivation and practice. In addition, he devours the spiritual quenching pulp and the flesh and blood of snow-spotted leopards and unicorn-scale lizards every day. 2 people. In the third realm of true martial arts, one can walk as fast as flying, and with the support of the spiritual power in his body, he will not get tired even after flying for more than an hour. This is as fast as a galloping horse, even as a tiger and leopard. Cultivators who have reached the level of opening the house can all do this. In the past, it took more than an hour to travel, but now it can be reached in just a quarter of an hour. The ancient mountains and forests like the sea were reflected again in the field of vision. Lin Xun took off the bone longbow on his back, and twisted a black arrow about a foot long from the quiver. The figure disappeared in the dark forest. After a while, boom, a bolt shot out like lightning, and slammed into a striped tiger. It flew out its huge body and fell several meters away. At the same time, a figure jumped down from a tree in the distance and walked quickly to the corpse of the striped tiger. He was tall and thin, his eyebrows were like lightning, and he was holding a huge white bone bow. It was Lin Xun. The big white bone bow in his hand is made of the spine of the snow-spotted leopard as the bow body, and a long tendon of the unicorn-scaled lizard as the bowstring. Strength, can't pull it off at all. In order to make this bow, Lin Xun also spent a lot of thought. Like the bowstring, he used fire copper to grind powder, mixed with several kinds of spiritual materials and tempered together for 7 days. It's cut off. Such a strong bow, of course, needs to be matched with special arrows. Like the 4-foot-long arrows in Lin Xun's quiver, all of them are black-colored arrows. To be firm, each one should weigh half a pound. When he was young, because he knew that Lin Xun was weak and could not fight for a long time, Mr. Liu told him that ordinary weapons might not be suitable for him to practice, but he could choose bows and arrows as weapons. Bows and arrows pay attention to condensing the strength of the whole body, and one strike will kill them. For those who are weak and unable to fight for a long time, it is undoubtedly the best choice. It was also from that time that Lin Xun began to learn about bows and arrows, and fell in love with the power of arrows that kills with one hit. Although he has been reborn now, he is completely different from before, but Lin Xun will not leave the bow and arrow together. Sometimes, bows and arrows can kill opponents more easily, such as surprise attacks, long-range attacks, and can better protect one's own safety. In short, although Lin Xun's fighting methods are very simple, they are extremely comprehensive. There are bows and arrows in long-range attacks, and swords and fists in close-range attacks, which can be regarded as complementary to each other. However, Lin Xun knew that it would be even better if he could obtain another body technique for escape. Unfortunately, Mr. Liu doesn't seem to be good at this, so he has never taught him. Puff! Lin Xun raised his hand and pulled out the arrow from Ban Wenu's body, and swiftly covered the striped tiger's body with the already prepared Banksing cow to cover up the bloody smell. Then he wrapped the striped tiger corpse with a slender and flexible ghost vine, and hid the trophy in a nearby lush grass. The striped tiger is also a fierce beast, more powerful than the snow-spotted leopard, but for the current Lin Xun, it no longer poses any threat. Marking a mark nearby, Lin Xun did not hesitate and continued to walk deep into the forest. It didn't take long for the mountains to shake in the forest. In the distance, Lin Xun's figure flashed, and he climbed up a nearby tree, bending bows and arrows, ready to wait. Just by listening to the movement, you can tell that a big guy is running towards this side. Sure enough, it didn't take long for a huge triangular bull figure to rush forward, trampling on the ground, knocking down all the ancient trees along the way, and its arrogance was extremely fierce. Ling Xun's heart tightened. This is a terrible guy who can kill the fifth realm of true martial arts. He is extremely powerful and bloodthirsty. Even tigers and leopards have to flee when they see it. But immediately Ling Xun found that the situation seemed to be wrong. The triangular bull was obviously fleeing in panic, as if he was afraid of something. Ling Xun finally decided not to take action. This fierce beast is still a great threat to him today. Unless forced, Ling Xun will not make fun of his life. Fortunately, this triangular bull just ran away, and didn't notice Ling Xun hiding above the tree, and soon disappeared without a trace. Ling Xun was about to continue to set off, and suddenly there was an inexplicable trembling in his heart. Almost at the same time, there were bursts of beast roars in the forest in all directions. It was as if the beasts hidden in the entire forest were alarmed by some unexpected changes at the moment, and the beast roar was full of horror. Boom tilde. The earth began to vibrate violently, the ancient trees trembled, and the branches and leaves rattled. If you look down from the sky, you can see that in every area of this deep mountain and old forest, wild beasts, fierce beasts, and vicious beasts fled wildly, forming a formation. A flood of torrents knocked down and smashed the towering trees near the road. What happened? At this moment, Ling Xun also realized that it was not good. He didn't care about hunting, put away his bow and arrow, flashed his figure, climbed to the top of the tree canopy, looked into the distance, and immediately saw that there was a battle going on in a very distant place. It was a black bear that was dozens of feet tall, like a hill, roaring up to the sky, making a sound like thunder, and shattering ancient trees with one palm, almost possessing the might of earth shaking. Its eyes are like a pair of lanterns, the whole body fur is glowing with black light, and the evil spirit is soaring. Just looking at it from a distance makes Ling Xun feel a sense of depression and suffocation. Powerful bear. It is recorded in 8-1 Lingpua that these beasts can be called the overlords of the mountains. Their strength is enough to destroy the mountains and tear apart the strong in the spiritual realm. Vigorous wild bear's opponent was a tall figure with a dazzling golden glow all over his body. Due to the distance, he couldn't see his face at all. What made Ling Xun tremble was that this tall figure was completely unafraid of the attack of the Dali wild bear. The figure wandered in the void. With just a pair of fists, the Dali wild bear was suppressed to the point where he couldn't lift his head. Roaring, the figure can fly into the air, and it can completely suppress a powerful savage bear that is strong enough to give birth to a servant. That tall figure must be a spiritual sea realm powerhouse. Only the strong in the spirit sea realm have the ability to fly into the air. When Ling Xun realized this, he couldn't help but be shocked. In the poor mountains and bad waters of Sankion-Han, how could a spirit sea realm powerhouse suddenly appear? Boom! Before Ling Xun could understand, there was a loud noise, and the ancient tree under his feet was knocked down suddenly, causing Ling Xun to stagger and his figure fell to the ground. Ling Xun's reaction was not unpleasant. He twisted his figure in midair, his toes were a little on the branch, and he landed on the ground like a harrier turned over. What? At this moment, Ling Xun saw that a little girl of 6 or 7 years old rushed over not far away. She was wearing an animal skin skirt, revealing a pair of bare feet as white as lotus root, and her long black hair was flying because of the rapid running, revealing a picturesque and beautiful face. Seeing Ling Xun, the little girl was obviously stunned, and immediately showed anxiety, babbled, as if telling Ling Xun to run away. Ling Xun also knew that the situation was not good, nodded, and was about to say thank you, when he felt a flower in front of him. The little girl rushed in front of him, grabbed the front of his shirt with one hand, and swept away. A 5 or 6-year-old girl, who was not tall enough to Ling Xun's chest, was holding Ling Xun as easily as a chicken, which made Ling Xun's heart tremble. What surprised Ling Xun the most was that from beginning to end, he was caught before he had time to dodge. Hu tilde. The sound of the wind swept past his ears quickly, and Ling Xun also realized that the little girl did not seem to be malicious, so he breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately, my heart was tumbling, and now I have a cultivation base of the third realm of true martial arts. This little girl can easily gallop with her. Is her cultivation base much higher than her own? Boom. Soon, Lin Xun couldn't think about it. In his field of vision, he saw the forests that he passed through collapsed one by one, and all kinds of beasts fled, turbulent and chaotic. In this case, if you want to save your life, you really have to leave here as soon as possible. Soon, the little girl rushed out of the forest with Lin Xun. After arriving here, Lin Xun couldn't help but say, "Little girl, please." The sound stopped abruptly, because at this moment, a touch of golden light suddenly cut through the sky from a distance. Boom. Almost at the same time, a fist twinned with terrifying spiritual power fell from the sky, tore through the void, and slammed into the little girl. The little girl seemed to be able to predict the prophet, and with a flash, she took Lin Xun to avoid it. But the fist twinned was unexpectedly powerful, smashing a big hole in the ground. The terrifying aftermath of the punch spread, causing the little girl's small and slender body to stagger, and she fell to the ground together with Lin Xun. Too horrible. Lin Xun's pupils shrank, but before he could react, another punch with a dazzling golden light burst into the air. One punch after another, not to mention that Lin Xun is only in the third realm of true martial arts. Even if he has the power of the spiritual level, I am afraid that he will not be able to avoid it at all. It was terrible, and it came so suddenly that it was impossible to resist. However, at this extremely critical moment, Lin Xun only felt a voice suddenly exploded in his ears, "A mere brute force warrior, how dare you indulge in the territory of my Ziyao Empire? I don't know whether to live or die." The words are like thunder, resounding through the world. Lin Xun only felt a flower in front of his eyes, and the little girl with him was swept up by an unparalleled force, narrowly avoiding the killing of that terrifying fist, and landing in dozens of places on the open space beyond the Jiang. At this time, Lin Xun could see clearly that under the blue sky, a man wearing a blue jade robe, with a bun on his head and elegant sleeves, stood on a long sword with blue pine patterns, standing in the sky. That fluttering and independent demeanor, like a banished immortal,